Welcome back to my channel. Today's episode is on makeup for mature skin. Those of you who follow me know that my channel is not suited for everyone. I focus on techniques that look great in real life, not just behind the lens, not just behind amazing lighting. I've seen many videos online where the makeup artists apply the same techniques on different ages. Our skin changes. The way we used to treat our skin in our 20s won't necessarily work when we're in our 30s, and definitely won't work when we're in our 40s, 50s, 60s, and so on. So our skin's needs change. That also means that we need to treat it differently with makeup. In this video, I'll touch very briefly on skincare routines for the ladies over 35, which is when our skin really starts to show the signs of aging. And then I'll move on to how to best apply makeup for that age onwards. If this sounds like something that you're interested in, then please continue watching. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos, which are full of tips and tricks on makeup that works for the real world, not just behind the lens. From the age of 25, our skin starts to lose elasticity slowly. The element that is responsible for the elasticity in the skin is collagen. Collagen actually naturally exists in the skin. So from the age of 25, the production starts to eliminate, so we need to reboost that. Vitamin C is what helps the skin produce collagen. Then from the age of 35, gravity will do its thing and everything starts dripping down. And our skin naturally becomes more dehydrated. There's nothing as such that will actually stop wrinkles from happening, because that's just a natural evolution. It's just going to happen. However, we can slow down the aging process. Besides the usual cleansing, toning, exfoliating serum and moisturizer that I've spoken about many times in my previous videos, I would like you to consider adding vitamin A or the retinol into your skincare routine. Your skin needs some time to get used to it, so introduce it gradually because it can have some side effects. I would also like to recommend you consider adding a face oil into your skincare routine. Face oils work best at night, so I do recommend you apply them at night before bedtime and avoid applying them before you wear makeup. Oils naturally will break down the foundation. It will naturally break down anything, any kind of product that you put over the top of it, whether it's a moisturizer or makeup. The last product that I'd like to emphasize on is sunscreen. Of course, I've spoken about the importance of sunscreen many times before. Apply sunscreen on a daily basis, regardless whether you are willing to leave the house or stay indoors. Because whilst the windows can protect you from the UVA rays, they cannot protect you from the UVB rays. So I'd like to introduce to you another method of looking after your skin, which is face massage. We often forget that our face is full of muscles as well. Like any other muscle in our body, if we don't exercise that muscle, the muscle weakens and starts to sag. So what we need to do is to exercise that muscle and plump it up so it becomes fresh and revitalized. If you want a video on a face massage, please let me know in your comments below and I'll be happy to do one for you. Oh, I did forget one thing, and that is the lips. Lips will dehydrate as well as we age, so please make sure you apply lip balm on a daily basis. Before I actually start with the makeup, it would help to understand what happens to our face with age. So gravity will start pushing everything downwards. So what happens is that it starts from the top. The forehead will start becoming shorter and then everything will be pushed downwards. So your eyebrows will be pushed down, your eyelids, your cheeks, the jawline, everything, including your nose. People who have always had eye bags under the eyes are likely to continue having these eye bags, but they might become more visible. On the other side, those who have a more hollow eye socket, like mine, where the skin goes inward, so it's an indentation basically, the hollowness will probably become more prominent. What I'd like you to keep in mind as we age, as our skin loses its elasticity and its firmness, is there's a bigger chance of products accumulating in parts of the face that we really try to hide. So the best advice I can give you is follow the theory of less is more. So whilst we try to cover up dark circles under the eyes, the hollowness or the eye bags, it's really important to use minimum products. So please keep watching and I'll show you how we can overcome these issues. Okay, we're ready to do our makeup. Of course, I've moisturized my face, I've got eye cream on and sunscreen. I'm ready to go. The first thing I'd like you to do is to apply a good primer. I'm going to apply that with my hand, and this is all I used. Now I'm gently massaging that into my face and dabbing around my eyes because we don't want to move the skin around the eyes at all. I'm going to use my ring finger on the eyelids and underneath the lower lashes as well. Instead of doing a color corrector first and then applying foundation for over the top, and I'm just going to stick to concealer and foundation. This is again to make sure that we use less product so it doesn't accumulate in the wrinkles and the parts that we want to hide. I recommend you stay away from wax-based foundation, so stay away from the stick foundation and instead go for a cream foundation. I'm going to use the Kryolan Vita color, which is finally available in Australia. I'm so excited, albeit at twice the price that I get it from the UK. The reason I love this foundation is because it really glides on so easily, so effortlessly. You can apply it with a brush, you can apply it with the fingers and press it in. You can control the amount of coverage that you want, and a little bit really goes a long way. I'll show you how much I use for myself. And this is enough for the whole face. You really don't need much at all. I'm just applying that all over the face. I'm starting off with the center of the face because that's where we have most blemishes. And always make sure you do take it all the way to the jawline. Of course, cover your jawline as well. Bring it down to the neck so there's no visible foundation lines. Now I'm going to leave out parts where I have wrinkles and fine lines because, like I said, I want to keep it minimal. So I'm not going to apply the foundation directly on there. Instead, I'll show you a different technique. So I'm applying the foundation on the hairline, but I'm keeping it away from the center of the eyes, which is where I have my concentration frown lines. Also keeping away from the crow's feet. And I still have plenty left, but I won't even use that. I'm going to have to wipe that off. Next, I'm going to go in with a concealer. Now, instead of going with a lighter colored concealer under the eyes, I'm going to use a concealer that's similar to my skin tone or slightly darker than the foundation. Because if we use a lighter toned concealer to cover dark circles, it'll turn grey. Think of makeup like watercolors basically. If you mix up two colors, you'll end up with a different color, right? So it's the same principle really with makeup. I'm going to apply it in that part of the eye, between the eye and the nose. This part always gets really dark because it gets a lot of shadow. So I'm going to apply that here, and then I'm going to bring it down gently to where my eye socket begins, where the darkest part of the eye is. And if I find that I need to cover this up more, then I'll cover it a bit later on, but first I'll leave that as it is. Then I will not apply any product on the outside of the eye or this part here because I'm going to use my ring finger, which has less pressure, to bring it up, and also because this way I can make sure that I'm not picking up too much product so I don't pile it up where my wrinkles are. I'll do the other eye very quickly. And now with whatever I have left on the brush, I'm going to cover my eyelids. I really recommend you do apply concealer on your eyelids after the primer, because often when we age, our eyelids get discolored. So it's always best, in my opinion, to start off with a neutralized canvas. And again, we press everything in gently. Now I'm pressing in whatever I have on my ring finger on the center of my forehead, which I left out because I didn't put any foundation on there. And now before we powder, and yes, we are going to powder, I'm going to use a powder puff. You can use a beauty blender if you prefer. And I'm going to press the foundation and the concealer into my skin to make it look like one rather than sit on top of my skin, which is why makeup often looks cakey. And now it's time to set everything up with powder. We are only going to do a very light dusting, so we're not going to apply a heavy layer of powder because you really don't need that anyway. And those who bake, please stop. Especially stop doing it on mature skin. Okay, so I've got a little bit of powder. I'm using translucent powder. You can use pressed powder if you prefer. And I am dusting the eyelids. If you really don't want to put concealer or foundation on your eyelids after you've primed, that's okay, but please do apply powder because it will make such a difference with eyeshadow application and with how long the eyeshadow lasts, because our eyes are full of oil glands and our eyelids will continue to produce oil. By only putting a really thin layer of powder on, you'll still have the dewiness of your skin. It'll just make sure that your foundation and makeup stays on. As for contouring, I'm just going to do the basics. I won't go over the top with contouring because, again, because it depends on each individual's face shape and facial features. But generally speaking, what we can contour if we want to is the tip of the nose, because it does droop, as I said, and the cheeks. We like to create that lift. That's all I'm going to show you. Okay, I'm going to use a fluffy brush because I don't want anything too crazy. And I'm going to gently apply that on the tip of my nose, just to give the impression that my nose ends there rather than down there. And then I'm going to narrow it down, because often our nose becomes a bit more wider as well. Personally, I only narrow down the bottom part, and this is really excessive. I don't usually do that much. Not this color either in real life, but obviously for camera's sake, I'm going to blend it out in a second. And then for the cheeks, I like to use a thick angled brush, and I'm just going to draw a line down and then bringing it closer towards the nose, because this will create me that lift. If I do it diagonally towards my mouth, as I often see, it'll just re-emphasize my saggy cheeks. So you want to counter that, right? As I always say, there's a reason why it's called makeup and not follow-up. And I'm just closing up this side here, which has become really wide as I've grown. And I'm leaving my forehead alone because I don't really have a wide forehead. If you do have a really wide forehead, then I recommend you can just do the top of your hairline, and that's it. Just keep it simple. We're going to create that lift using the highlighter or illuminator as well. So the way we can create that is to enhance our cheekbones. So we want to create that diagonal lift from our cheekbones upwards, because that will lift up the face. So I'm just applying that literally on the tip of my bone, which is right here, which is kind of right under where my eye ends. And I'm taking it up, and this will give me that lift. Then I'm putting it underneath the eyebrows and on the top of our lips. I personally avoid the nose altogether because I contour it, and if I put highlight on, it'll just basically contradict my contouring work. Then I go in with the blusher. I often see makeup artists apply blusher really high underneath the eyes on mature ladies. In the olden days, they used to do it like that because it gave the impression of taking the attention away from the wrinkles and into the eyes. But in fact, it actually just enhances the wrinkles. It doesn't really detract from the wrinkles, it actually attracts the attention towards them. So I still would apply the blusher to the apples of your cheeks, to just make sure you don't put them down too low. So I'm using a fluffy brush and getting rid of the excess, and I'm just applying it where we normally brush, and I'm gently pressing the blusher in rather than doing circular motions, because if I do circular motions, it's going to drag the skin. But also, if you have really wrinkly skin, if you have really wrinkly cheeks, what happens is if you do that, it'll pull the skin, and then by pulling the skin, because you have layers, it can actually miss some spots. So by pressing the brush in, you're ensured basically to cover all the skin. Okay, now we're ready to do the eyebrows and the eyes. I'm going to use a eyebrow pomade. As we age, the eyebrows get pushed down lower as well. So if you used to have arched eyebrows, the chances are that they've drooped. And it's quite common as well that one eyebrow has dropped more than the other. And that's normal. Our face is not symmetrical. So I wouldn't worry too much about trying to equalize them, because if you try and make them equal, then you'll have a really, really thick eyebrow and a really, really thin eyebrow on the other side. So in order to create that lift, we want to emphasize the arch, okay? So generally with eyebrows is, if you want to widen your face, very, very simply said, draw a more straighter eyebrow. If you want to elongate your face, then draw it arched up, but try to avoid the McDonald's arches by all means, please. I'm applying the pomade with an angled brush. Okay, so I'm going to start by putting a dot where I like the tip of my eyebrow to be. And then from there, I'm going to draw the line downwards and out. Make sure, please, that when you draw your eyebrows, not to bring them down this way, because that'll close up our eye area. Then I'm going to draw a line from the beginning of the eyebrows, connecting it to the tip of my eyebrow. And I'm going to line the lower side underneath. Now for my favorite part, the eyes. I'm going to use my beloved Stila Soul palette. What we want to do with the eyes is to create that lift and that openness. Our eyelids often drop as we age, so we want to create a false crease line. And I want to give the impression that the crease is a bit higher up. That gives me that openness, widens up the eyes, makes it look more youthful. So I'm going to go in with a brown, and I'm going to put a dot in where I'd like the crease to be. That's going to be there. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to bring the line down, and then I'm going to take it across in an arched way halfway to my eyes. I'm going to avoid bringing it all the way into the inner corner of my eyes, because that's going to close the eye up, which means it's going to make it look darker and smaller. And I'm not going to worry about blending it right now, so it doesn't have to be all that neat. The next step is to take a lighter shade. So I use the really darkest brown down here. I'm going to use that one now to draw the transition and blend in the dark brown. I'm just going to do this eye now, so you can see the difference between this one and that one. Now using a flat brush, I'm going to go in with that same medium brown, and I'm going to put that underneath my lower lashes. What I often see is liquid eyeliner or gel liner applied underneath the lower lashes in order to make the eyes look bigger. In my personal opinion, I find that if you use something softer like eyeshadow, like brown eyeshadow or any kind of darker eyeshadow, it'll have a more gentle but bigger effect, rather than outlining them with a harsh line. When you line the lower lashes, try not to bring the dark shades all the way in. Make sure you stop it approximately halfway through the eye. By outlining only the outer corners of your lower lashes and bringing it up, that helps with hooded eyes as well, or really droopy eyelids, because it will give you that lift. If you line all of your lower lashes from end down to the front, it'll just give it that weight and just kind of drags everything down, pulls everything down, which makes it look really heavy and droopy. What I would like to do next is to make the eyes look wider. And how do you achieve that? By using a little bit of shimmer. Use a lighter eyeshadow shade, which is a little bit shimmery, nothing too glittery, so just shimmer is fine. Shimmer will reflect the eyes whenever you blink, and it makes it look more fresh, it look more youthful, and it actually widens up the eyes as well. So I'm going to go in with that champagne color from that Stila palette, and I'm drawing it in from where my eye creases, or where the eye socket starts, and I'm bringing that down. As we get older, it's always best to press product in, like I said, rather than to drag product around. And then I'm also going to apply that in the inner corners, and then underneath the beginning of the lower lashes. Make sure it connects with that brown line that I applied, so make sure everything's connected, nothing is disconnected. That's a big part of makeup. I'm not going to do a winged eyeliner, but what I would like to do is just simply outline the lash line to make it again look bigger. So in order to do that, I'm going to use a really thin brush. You can use an angled brush or a really straight liner brush. And all I'm going to do is I'm pressing the product in along the lash line rather than drawing it out. Never ever pull the skin that way, because as soon as you let go, you'll have the excess skin covering the parts which you have outlined. So make sure you keep your eyes relaxed. If you can, close one eye and then just simply gently pressing in the product along the lash line. When using eyeliner, also don't ever stop where your natural lashes end, because if you do that, it's going to enclose the eyes. So once you've lined out your upper lashes, what you can do is you can draw a line from where your lower lashes end, you know how it goes up, that way, and then try to continue that line with the eyeliner. It doesn't have to be long at all. And then connect the end to your upper lashes. That just gives it a nice extension of the eye. The inner rim of the eye, so you can use flesh-toned kohl pencil. I'm going to go in with my black. Because eye makeup is not about the eyeliner, I'm going to actually hide the end of the eyeliner. It's just going to make it more subtle. And in order to do that, I'm going to go in with the dark brown that I use at the start, and I'm just covering it in. Basically place the brush at the end of the liner and then just pushing it outwards, so it kind of covers the end, but it's still there. but it just doesn't scream out winged eyeliner. And to finish off the eye makeup look, I'd like to add a medium color basically between the gold and the dark brown that I used in the end, and I'm going in with shimmery brown. I'm just applying that there. It just gives it more of a softer look. When we blend it all together, it'll look really nice. Now it's time to blend. When you blend, make sure you blend up and out. Now I'm going to do mascara quickly. When you mascara, really focus on the outer lashes. Give them a quick wiggle down the bottom and then lift them up. This will elongate the eyes as well. And this is how you can open up your eyes, give them a lift and give them a more youthful look. The only thing that's left now is the lips. Before you start with your lips, make sure that you've removed any excess oils from the lip balm that you put on earlier. I do strongly recommend that you do outline your lips because our lips shrink a little bit. Outlining your lips with a lip pencil first also prevents your lipstick from bleeding into the wrinkles if you have any lines around your lips. So it'll basically keep the lipstick in place. The golden rule is to stick very closely to your natural lip line, because if you take it too far up into that part, you'll be shading an area that has a lot of wrinkles possibly. It will accentuate the wrinkles. I'm going to show you a trick on how you can make your lips look more plump without using fillers. So I'm going to use a darker kind of lipstick. Always remove the excess after you put your first layer on. Use a shade that is lighter but that goes well with that shade. So make sure you test it to make sure that it doesn't turn into a really odd color. I'm just going to put that on the center of the lips because that's going to give me that width. And then smudging it in with your finger. And the final step is, if you want to make them look even more plump, is to use a lip gloss. Lip gloss should only be applied in the center of the lips. Always stay away from the outside corners because it has a tendency to bleed. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this episode and I hope you'll be able to take something away that will help you. I would love for you to tell me if this method has been helpful for you and what you enjoyed the most and what didn't work for you. The key is to keep everything simple, not to stress too much and use less product. And don't be afraid to experiment with colors. I've given you the basics now. I hope you'll be able to take that away and to experiment with the colors that you like using on your face. Makeup is very individual, as I always say. Makeup has to reflect your own personality. Play around with makeup, it's fun. Show your personality through your makeup. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel and share my videos with your friends and family. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you next time.